YouTube. It's Eddie off the cuff. And tonight we're on the cusp of Simsbury, Connecticut. But I do believe that we're still in Granby. And we are actually at a site where there's a story about a legend that took place. I don't know if was it the 1600s or the 1700s. It's quite a ways back there.
Somewhere in there. I think 1700s.
Yeah, it might have been the 1700s. Where it is the story of a woman by the name of Deborah. I can't remember what's her last name. Griffen. Deborah or Debbie Griffen. And this is an unusual one, and I'm sure there's a lot of, there's got to be some truth to it for it to be a story to begin with. But there's also a lot of hokey-pokey stuff with it, and whether, there's a lot of credence to it. But either way, you can look the story up, and I'm going to take you guys. Right now we're at an area called Three Corner Pond. And we're going to try to get to the pond, because in the story, I'm just going to kind of recite the story to you, or recant the story to you. So, the story went like this. Back in the day, in the 1700s, in Simsbury, Massachusetts, there was this woman, Deborah Griffen. Deborah Griffen. Sorry, I'm suffering from allergies and everything today. And supposedly, she was an odd one. And the story and the legend went something like this. That she was odd in the fact was where they thought she was a witch. And there is the pond dead ahead of us here. We're right at the pond.
Don't step too much, you might go in it.
Yeah, I don't want to go in it. Yeah, we're actually kind of mushy here. But there is the pond. Now it's more populated. But I guess back in the day, this was like really isolated up here. And I guess Deborah Griffen lived in a shack up here. And she was what you'd call by today's standards probably an eccentric. They said that, she collected wild herbs, and they figured she was dealing with the devil, and how people were thinking back in those days, because that was around the time of the witch hunts and all that. But either way, she was known to be very poor, kind of a recluse, but she would come into town every so often with the finest gossamer linens and stuff and trade them for provisions or sell them. And I thought that was odd, or they thought that was odd, being that she really didn't have any means to acquire such things. And people got it in their head. There was stuff in the story that she was making deals with the devil to have this stuff happen. But also, she had some, I guess, quite a record around the area for mischievous, as it says in the story, activity in some surrounding towns. And one day, the Reverend went to the First Church of Simsbury, and when he unlocked the door and went inside, he noticed that the altar chest had been opened and a lot of stuff was missing. A lot of the silver and gold plates and things like that were gone. So they decided to stake out the church the following night. And a group of militia gathered there, and they waited. And behold, just around dark, a little after dark, they saw a figure coming down the hill. And it turned out to be Debbie Griffen. And they followed her, and they watched her as she approached the church. And this is where the story gets a little hokey. They said that she got to the church and she actually mysteriously disappeared and went through the keyhole of the church. Now, I mean, I'm not making this up. This is the actual story that I've read, but there actually is a real credence to there was a Debbie Griffen, and she was odd and this and that she was actually murdered here because they seen her emerge from the church, and she had some silver plates that she had stolen, and she was heading back home. So they followed her, and then they began to give chase, and she was chased up here to what is known as Three Corner Pond, which is still here today. And when she reached the edge of the pond, I guess he was a military captain that was part of the militia back then. She paused at the edge of the pond, holding the plate above her head, and he fired his musket or shotgun at her at close range. And it says that he had blown a hole clean through her torso to the point where he could see the moon shining through the hole it had left. And she fell into the lake, or into the pond, along with the silver plate. And that on moonlit nights, for a long time afterwards, you could see the silver plate shining in the depths of the water. Unfortunately, it's not a moonlit night tonight here, but we are at the pond, and it's pretty creepy in this area. I mean, to just think that whether, the hokey pokey stuff of, she's dealing with the devil and, she was disappearing through keyholes. I mean, who knows, maybe these guys were having a little too much hooch while they were hanging out waiting to, find out who was robbing the church. But at any account, there was a Debbie Griffen. She did live up here. She was odd, and she was killed at this spot. So we came here to the spot to show you the area, and also to kind of recite the story. And I don't get all that technical with the stories. I basically just tell it as I remember it and as I heard it. But supposedly she was chased to this spot. Also, there was a mention that she had some sort of an emu, or like an ostrich-style, probably was an emu bird, that she would ride into town. And people would see her doing that, so they thought she was odd. And I guess it could be an aggressive bird, as emus could be, But either way, we came up here to check out this spot, and it is pretty creepy. But, and we're now going to go down into the town, and we're going to try to find the church, because the church that she was accused of robbing was moved to the center of Simsbury. So we're going to go actually find that building, and we're going to check that out. So we'll see you there. Hey, man, like and subscribe. Give us a shout out. And we'll see you all in the next one.